Hey, how are you? Can you hear me?
כן,
מה נשמע?
בסדר, מה שלומך?
ברוך השם.
איך הכל?
ברוך השם, עייפה, אבל הכל בסדר.
לפעמים מס, התקופה הזאת מעייפת. אוף,
בדיוק.
כן,
need a vacation.
נכון. נראה מתי אפשר יהיה בכלל.
רק עכשיו, אין לאן ללכת.
אין, ממש. אף פעם לא האמנתי שאני אוהב את הבית, פתאום אני בן אדם מה זה לא של בית, ופתאום כשאני בחוץ אני מחפשת מהר לחזור הביתה.
את יודעת מה? אני שכחתי איך זה את הכל, אורחים, הכל, שכחתי איך זה להיות עם אנשים.
נכון, גם אני, זה ממש עצוב, זה כל כך קשה, במיוחד אנשים שאוהבים אנשים, קשה, אני גם מאוד קשה לי.
ממש קשה.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you feeling?
Baruch Hashem. We're saying we're tired.
You're tired. Someone said, did you get over the COVID virus?
Oh, I didn't get the virus myself.
You didn't get it?
No, Baruch Hashem.
Oh, you're lucky.
I know everyone I speak to, they got it, but I got part of the vaccine.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. So I'm hoping that's going to help.
Do they give it to everybody there? Because nobody here's had it. Like, they don't give it to many people in Winnipeg, the virus, the vaccine.
Oh, I got lucky because my son has special needs. So they let people who take care of the special needs, the caregivers, we're allowed to have the vaccine.
Oh.
So that's how I got to it. But if not, I think you need to be a certain age, or you need to be like a health worker. You need to be in the healthcare field, or
when
not
you say
that easy.
When you say your son has special needs, what kind of special needs?
Oh, he's on the spectrum. He has autism.
I see. I wonder if that includes learning disabilities. Or...
Yes.
So anyone,
and
why is it though they give you the immunization for that reason? Because you're at home, right? You're at home.
Because basically I take care of him through a service that's called IHSS. So as long as you're a caregiver of someone, you're like an essential worker. So that's why they let you have the vaccine.
That's very interesting.
Oh, yeah. I was very happy. I didn't ask too many questions. I just took advantage of it. I was like, I really wanted, I didn't want to get sick because I see people around me, all my friends, it takes them like 3 weeks to recover. And
so a lot of your friends have had COVID-19 already?
Yeah, a lot of my friends. My husband goes to pray in a shul, like outdoor shul, and almost everyone got it at the shul, one after the other.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Was anybody in the hospital?
Only one person. I think Baruch Hashem, everyone else was pretty mild. They were okay. But
okay.
You know, I don't know. I don't have family here, so I cannot afford to be sick.
You know, it's interesting how they say if you're a caregiver, I mean, my son has type 1 diabetes and I'm a caregiver like 24/7. You know, I don't know if that
actually diabetes, actually in California, they let people who have diabetes, they're like priority, like they're going first. They let them actually have the vaccine.
With the type 1 diabetes.
Uh-huh. I've read it because there's a whole list and they check you when you go to get the vaccine. They make sure that you're like, you know, that you're like, you have a right to be there. I'm just going to put the baby in the stroller 1 second. Yeah. Amen.
Oh.
So for me then.
So cute.
Thank you. Down. Perfect timing. Oh, much better.
My grandson now here and 4 months.
I know. You know what? It's been almost a year. Remember last year for Purim?
Yeah.
That's when all this stuff started. Like I remember.
Yeah.
I know in France, I remember because they didn't take it seriously. And everyone had stayed together. And right after that, everyone went to the hospital. Like my cousin
Yes.
got sick right around this time. And he was in the hospital for like 8 months. He was in a coma. He almost passed from COVID. We had a
Yeah.
miracle with him.
I just stepped away. I didn't hear what you said, Sturny. You said somebody was in a coma?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, my cousin. He almost
How
died
old
from
is he?
COVID.
How old is your cousin?
He's 35 years old.
And he
Wow.
was in a coma that young?
Yeah. He had to be put on an ECMO machine and it was very serious.
Oh my
Very, very
goodness.
serious, yeah.
That's off. Does he live in LA with you? Like,
No, he's in France. French
Oh.
people, they were hit very hard when it started.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, all the
Nobody knows how nobody knows how it's gonna attack the body. It's like nobody knows.
it seems like some people, they don't even get that many symptoms.
yes. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, but some people don't get that many symptoms and other people get very sick.
Yes.
Goofy.
My neighbor passed away, my sweet neighbor.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That's
So
awful.
sad.
That's just awful.
How
Yeah.
old was he or she?
I mean, he was almost, I think he was almost 60, but he got it really, really bad. He was also in a coma for 3 months. And then he started getting infection after infection, and then his body collapsed. Yeah.
Oh God, that's horrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you
My
get
my
the
uncle
shot?
passed away too.
Oh,
Who
What?
passed away?
your
My
uncle?
uncle too. Yeah.
Wow, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. And he was
Yeah.
also healthy?
So sad. I mean, he was older. I mean, but he was most of his life, he was very healthy man. But they had the housekeeper, she was positive with no symptoms, and he got it. And then he was in the hospital for a week. Then he was released home, but then it came back again, his fever, and then his kidneys collapsed, and he just was on a machine for just a few days, and he passed away. Yeah.
So sad. Like
Yeah.
I was heartbroken also a few weeks ago. I'm sure you've heard about UD Dukes.
You know?
I've heard of him. I've heard of him.
It's a Chabad guy who was the founder of JNet. It's a website that people can connect to study together.
Yeah.
So he got sick with COVID at the beginning. He was one of the only patients who recovered and was sick for that long. I think it was like something like 8 months in the hospital. And then he was able finally to go home. So everyone was so happy. They had a party. And the day after, he got sick again. He went back to the hospital for another month or so. And he left like kids, children, young children, his wife, family.
Oh my God.
Like the stories that you hear every day, and you're like, Akadosh Baruch Hu, it's like.
Yes.
It's mamash. I don't know. I've never lived that in my life.
No, nobody thought about that. That's how we're gonna be facing now, whatever we are facing. It's like,
yeah, and I think even when it started last year, I personally didn't take it seriously the first month, and I thought it would be something over in a few weeks, and it's
yeah.
never thought like a year later.
No, from the beginning, my son, the one in medical school, he got married, by the way. I told you, I think,
Oh,
no?
Mazal tov.
Thank you. He got married with one of his, one of the classmate. Yeah.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Yes. And he told me, Mom, it's going to take a while. It's not going to be like by summer, it's gone. Pandemic takes a long time. So I don't know, but still it's like depressing already.
Feels like we're in the time of Rabbi Akiva. You heard every like Baomer, you hear there was a pandemic and all this student died, and
Yeah.
and you're like, you just want it to end already and have your own like Baomer.
Yes. Hi.
So hard.
Where are you both living in LA?
Yeah, I live in LA. Yes.
Yeah, I'm in Tarzana.
You're
Which
in
is
LA. I'm in Winnipeg, Canada.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cold, no? Over there.
It's like 40 below.
Wow.
I need to
So cold,
translate
I
that
can't
in
even go
Celsius.
outside.
I am really bad weight.
Pardon?
Minus 40 Fahrenheit in Celsius.
Where are you originally from? Are you both from LA?
I'm French. I'm French.
I was born in Israel.
You're from Israel and you're from France? Oh.
Yes, we're like
How did you get to LA?
Me, I got married.
From France. Same here. I got married too. That's why I'm here.
But are you both like from the Chabad? Are you working in the Chabad? Are you?
No, I used to work for a Jewish school, in local Jewish school, for at least 10 years. But we belong to Chabad since my older son was born, and he's 33. Yeah.
Wow. And me, I'm like, I was born Chabad. My parents are shluchim in France.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are you married to a shaliach too, to a rabbi?
Not a shaliach, no. I do my own shlichut. It's like I work a lot with the French community, but I'm not officially like with anyone.
Oh.
Not hired by anyone yet. Yeah, it's just I met the Rebbe when I was a child so many times, and I lived with it,
Yeah, I remember the story. Yeah.
I was there once, and I remember standing on a street and seeing the Rebbe giving out dollar bills. And I was with two friends, but there was huge lineups, and we just stayed for 10-15 minutes and we left. We didn't actually get to meet him.
Oh my goodness, look, that is my special moment.
Wow, beautiful. Wow.
That's my last one with him. I was lucky enough to speak to him and meet him a month before he had his stroke.
Oh.
It was very special, all the words that he said, like they took even more meaning after the stroke, because he couldn't speak after that.
What did you talk about?
So I have a DVD. I was able to find actually a DVD of one of the times I spoke with him. So in this one, you see me asking for a child for my aunt. And it's crazy because she couldn't have children. I believe it was like 10 years. And exactly 9 months after that, my cousin was born.
Are you serious? Do you think he had these kinds of powers that he could create these tunnels for blessings?
Yes, no doubt. I've lived so many miracles myself, for sure.
Yes, me too.
The Rebbe was able to connect. I remember your story. You never left me. How you, with your husband, you prayed, right? One was downstairs, one was upstairs.
No, that's Tammy.
That's Tammy. Oh, sorry. I thought it was your story.
Yeah, no, it's Tammy, that she was asking the rabbi downstairs a few questions and getting answer. And then one question, he said, I already answered it. And then her husband asked that question upstairs. Yeah.
So crazy.
Unbelievable.
What is your story?
My story? Whose story? Mine?
You also have a story with the Rebbe?
No, I don't have a story. Well, I was there, but I was with two friends and they told me about coming to see the Rebbe. When we got there was lineups all the way around the blocks, and we just saw him handing out dollar bills, but I didn't realize who exactly he was, and I didn't realize the significance of speaking with him. And we just observed what was going on and we left. We didn't wait to speak to the Rebbe because I didn't realize who the Rebbe was.
Look,
I wish I
everything is in
had.
Hashem's hands.
I wish I
Hashem
had
wanted it
spoken
that
to
way.
him. I really feel like it was a missed opportunity. But I really don't know what I would have talked to him about. I don't know. Like I guess you go there and you ask for blessings of certain things.
I'll tell you, you don't even, it was not even about going and asking for blessing. It was go and connect. And it was mamash to connect with him. Like I can tell you that even if the last time I've seen him, I was 12 years old. So I was pretty young still. But when he looked at me, I can never forget that look. It's like not even a piercing look. Like you could feel at that second that he knew everything from your life, that he understood you, that he connected with you. It was such a powerful look. I mean, it's really hard to describe. I remember that I left and I was shaking and crying, and I was a tough 12 years old. I was not like this little like sensitive kid, you know. I was so touched, and so you were attached to him right away. You could see there was a neshama connection. It was very powerful.
Well, I see that powerfulness in his picture, and I see that when I look at even videos with him in it, and you look at his eyes, and he just seems very intense. Like I've never really seen anything like that. Just his whole aura.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you said it.
But yeah, I do wish I had spoken with him. We didn't stay. We just saw him handing out the dollar bills, and we saw him talking to people, and we just observed what was happening. Would he talk to everybody? You mean you would wait there and he would talk to absolutely everybody?
I don't think he would have long discussions with everyone. Some people, they would just get a bracha, you know, but he would say what you needed to hear. And I think that was you know, so mesmerizing, is that I went once to speak to the Rebbe, and I was even younger than that. That was before I was 12. I think I was maybe like 10 years old. And I wanted to ask a bracha for one of my brothers who had an accident, but I didn't get to say anything. I was moved really fast because there were so many people, thousands of people. So they were moving you fast, you know? And all lines stopped. And my mom she started saying, Sarah, Sarah. So then I turned around and I see the Rebbe calling me back. So I went back, and when I came to him, he said, you wanted a blessing for your brother? And in French.
Yeah.
How would he even know? I mean, how? I didn't say anything, you know?
How did he know?
Because there's a higher connection.
Yeah,
Like soul to soul.
You can't be serious. You're serious? He knew that?
Yep.
Yeah, you know what? I have a similar story. My husband's, you know, first we used to live in Houston, in Texas, and one of his, in the shul, I don't remember the name, but my husband knew him, a guy that his son had a muscle dystrophy. He was only 11. So they told them that, they told the father, you know, go to New York. There is a Farbrengen with the rabbi, and you're going to get a blessing. So he went to this Farbrengen in New York, and there was a lot of people. And all of a sudden, while the rabbi was like saying L'chaim, he was pointing with his finger, and nobody knew where he's pointing. But he pointed to this guy from Houston, and he said something in Yiddish, you know, say L'chaim, everything will be gesund, to be okay. And his son really got cured. Yeah. Amazing.
I've never heard of it, that he could get cured.
Yeah.
Muscular dystrophy.
I don't know if it was muscle dystrophy. He had a condition when his muscles were deteriorated. I don't know. Something was really bad with this boy. He was only 11. I don't know exactly if it was muscular dystrophy, but it was kind of a disease that it was really bad, and there was no really hope for this boy. So his fate was that the rabbi is going to help him, and the rabbi actually pointed to him. He didn't even know him, but he pointed to him and he said, say l'chaim, everything will be okay. And and the boy, I don't know if the boy was cured, but the boy definitely was so much better, and I guess he was okay. We already left Texas, but I heard that everything was okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I know my best friend, her husband was given only 2 months to live with lung cancer. And she told him, my friend told her husband, you're going to be the one who's going to, in the 10% that's going to survive. And she went to the Rebbe in New York, and she was so shy to go close. She was standing on the side, and the Rebbe, when he walked out, he looked at her and gave her $1 and told her something in Yiddish. And her husband, thank God, it's now almost 25 to 30 years after. He's fine. Baruch Hashem. Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Wow. It's inspiring.
Every day I read his chapter. It's like I can't start the day if I don't read the Rabbi chapter. This is my every morning. Yeah.
Wow, so beautiful. Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
That's an amazing inspiration. If you want, we can start now. I'm recording it. So Stanley asked me to record the meeting that we're having.
I'm going to mute myself so you're not going to hear noises in the background.
Oh, thank you. So I wanted to speak, the parasha of this week is Parashat Mishpatim. Parashat Mishpatim, it's all about rules and laws, about like the slavery and about stealing and about damaging and about interests. And it's very petty, you may think. It's a lot of detail, it's a lot of halachot, it's a lot of laws, and you're thinking last week only we had Parashat Yitro. Last week only was so magical, beautiful. We had like the Hashem gave us the Torah, and then suddenly as Hashem gives us the Torah, we had like thunders, and it was so amazing. All the people were one together, so many miracles happening. So you can think that everyone is like on a high. Everyone is like, feeling so spiritual, so magical. And suddenly when I go down, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is coming and giving you the next parasha. It's all about slaves and about goats, animals, and about, I'm like, okay, wait. I was such on a high. What do you bring me down? Let me on my high, right? Well, didn't Hashem give us a parasha talking about something mystical, something like spiritual? You feel like this is like penny, like to just talk right now. It's like you take me down, What are you talking about right now? About all these tiny rules. And the idea is so, so beautiful. Since we're Jewish people, we answer a question by a question. So the question I'm going to tell you is the following. How many times you went to a Torah class and while you're listening to the person, to the Rebbetzin and talking, you're thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. I love what she's saying. This is so beautiful. But then you leave the class or you leave the Zoom these days and you don't remember a thing. You haven't changed at all. You basically live your life the same way you lived the day before. You live the same thing the same way the day after. Nothing has changed. What happened that you were on such a high, but nothing changed in your life? So that's the idea, and that's what we're going to learn from the juxtaposition from these two parashiyot, from these two subjects being together. That sometimes you can be on such a high, but if you don't take something from this high and bring it into something concrete, something that speaks to you, the high is just going to pass, over your head, and you're not going to remember anything. So let's try to remember this, and that's the Hasidic masters. They're exactly talking about that. We're talking about the Rebbe. That's what the Rebbe is teaching us. He said, for example, think about a wedding. People get like ready for the wedding. They think for months about their dress, about who are they going to invite, what are they going to eat, who's going to come and do the music. And it's like so much work to prepare a wedding. But how much time is spent to actually prepare the marriage? How much time is spent to prepare what's going to happen after you get married, after you go through the chuppah? It's nice to talk about all these details and the love that we have for each other, but then what happens once you get married? Tachlis, the details, all the nitty gritty, all the small, tiny rules of your marriage. That's what's going to make your marriage successful or not. So people get ready preparing things, but they forget to prepare what's most important. And Hashem wanted to show us that. He wanted to show us that, yes, we have all this preparation, we're receiving the Torah. It's like, the honeymoon, it's the climax. But the real test of a solid relationship is in the everyday. Every day, the everyday act is a tiny act. You don't know if your relationship is amazing because you love and you have lofty ideas and you're like such on a high. No, you know that your relationship is amazing when your husband and yourself, you're in tune and you do something for each other every day in the small details. Let me give you an example. Buying flowers. Everyone can buy flowers. It's like, why do I need my husband to come and bring me a bouquet of flowers? I can go buy it myself. Because when he gives me flowers, he shows me that I count for him. He shows me that he loves me. He's not giving me flowers. He's giving me love. That's what he's really giving me. He's showing me that it took some time and nothing is more important right now than me and my flowers. That's what counts. It's the small details. Romance is a beautiful idea, but romance without, the small details, it doesn't last. It's not going to last. And Hashem really wanted to convey that message that yes, it's beautiful and he can do spectacular things with the Har Sinai and the thunder and giving us the Torah. But if we don't learn how to apply it in the small details, how can we have a relationship that is healthy with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Same way. How can we have a relationship that is healthy with our spouses or with our children? So Hashem did not change the subject when he went from one parasha to the other. He just showed us that what we learn, we have to actually apply it. It's not just about learning and living on amazing ideas. It's what do you do with it that counts. And that's really the way we're going to behave towards each other. That's what's going to show really our engagement to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem created the world and he created the people. So when we love the people, when we're kind to the people around us, we're actually showing God that we're kind and we love him too. When you love someone, you take care of someone. Right now, for example, my niece is living with us in my house because she goes to school here. Why do I do that? Because I love my niece. Why do I love my niece? Because she is my sister's daughter. So I love my sister. I love my niece. You love and you want to be kind to the people you love, not just by talking, but by acting, by doing things. The actions is what really count. And that's the idea of Mishpatim right after Yitro. Yes, Hashem, we were on a high, but Hashem wants to tell us, now show me that you love me. Show me that you love my people. Show me that you're going to change. It's not just because I gave you the Torah on the Har Sinai that was amazing. What are you going to do with this Torah? What are you going to do with it? And if you realize we change because now we're doing things and we feel accomplished. We feel something is changing. Why? For the only reason that we are doing what Hashem wants from us. And it's so interesting. Think about a relationship. You can do a lot of things, but when you do it because you love the person, what you're doing has a different meaning right away. The most simple action becomes something sublime, becomes something romantic, becomes something higher than what we are. And it's the same way in spirituality in Torah. We can find the inspiration in the Aseret HaDiberot, in everything that Hashem gave us. But to really show our love to God, to really show that we understood the message, then we have to actually practice it. We have to do things to change. And it's interesting because think about even in your homes. If let's say you have to cook, you can say, oh, cooking is so boring. Cooking every day, I cook. No more ideas what I'm supposed to make. But if you say, okay, I love my husband, I'm going to cook because I enjoy it. I do it out of love. Then your cooking is going to become interesting. There's no more boring. Your cooking becomes an act of love. And I'm sure you've heard about Yitzhak. He has ALS and he's really sick, but he still writes parashiot, like commentaries on the parasha with his eyes, like basically talking to his computers with his eyes. It's extraordinary what he does. And he wrote this idea. I read it from him. He wrote exactly that when you do something out of love, even the smallest action becomes romantic. Even cleaning the floor, changing the garbage bag, that becomes love, that becomes romantic. And we're coming to the second idea that in Judaism, in the Torah, what's most important, what we say is Aikar wa Maaseh. The essential part of my practice is the action. It's beautiful to talk and talk and talk. I always tell people, they say, oh, you speak to people that I study Torah so much. I know everything. You can ask me questions. But did it touch you? You studied Torah, but did Torah get through you? Or did you get through the Torah? It's like, it's beautiful to study, but you can study science, you can study history, you can study so many things. The Torah is not about studying to become wiser or to show that you know. No, it's to transform you. That's really what it is. It's like when you learn something, when you go to a class, you have to ask yourself, this is beautiful. What do I do with it? How do I change my life from tonight's class? There is one thing I can take and I can transform. Because if you want an idea to last, you need to take a concrete decision that go with that idea. If not, you can think about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But beautiful ideas, they go away. Think about New Year. Everyone has a New Year resolution. Everyone says, oh, yes, I'm going to lose weight. Oh, yes, I'm going to run a marathon. Oh, yes. But if you don't act the next day upon it, forget it. You're not going to do it. If you don't do something the next day, you say, okay, next day I'm cutting carbs. I don't know. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm giving you an example. You're saying, I'm going to do a diet. I'm going to cut carbs. The next day you cut carbs. Trust me, it's going to last. There's going to be a momentum. If you say, I want to run a marathon, and the next day you go and you run even 10 minutes, you're going to succeed because you started it. You're already doing it. But if you're just talking about ideas, you're never going to get to do it. So to really change a person, you need to make sure that you have the action along with the ideas. You cannot have one without the other because it's not going to last. It's like a bracha. Think about it. You can talk about brachot and go to a class and everyone talks about brachot, blessings. But until you actually do the blessing, it doesn't count. Until you can go to a class about Afrashat Chala and feel amazing and feel so lofty. But if you don't do your own Afrashat Chala, you don't do the mitzvah. So the idea is this. Hashem says, yes, I give you Yitro, but I give you Mishpatim. Yes, I give you the beautiful ideas, but at the same time, I give you the actions, how to apply these ideas and make them last. That's how you will know that you change yourself. Because it's really nice to give advice to people, but it's really hard to change your habits. So the only way to change your habit is to actually not just have a nice idea, but to couple it, to make it with an action right away. And then you can also ask yourself, so that's very nice. That's a very nice idea. I'm going to get rid of my bad habits. But how do I create good habits? Because it's negative to say, if you focus all the time, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that. All you're going to think about is not to do this, which is negative, which is not something that you want. The goal in life would be to actually think about positive. Like, okay, I understand I shouldn't do that, but what should I do? I was reading this Shabbat in a magazine, an article about couples and how to better. It's always actually the psychologist gives advice on how to have a better relationship with your spouse, with your children. And she was saying something that to me was amazing, that I said, I have to put it in my life. She was saying, the less you say, the better it is. The less you say, the more you will have what you ask. And she went on by saying, People go to their children and they're like, yes, you should do this, you should do that, because you understand. Why are you doing that? Let's talk, let's discuss, let's talk, and ideas. And they go on for like 10 minutes. Trust me, after 10 seconds, you lost your child. He doesn't want to listen to you. He's like, oh my God, what a boring mother. What does she want from me now? No one wants to hear that. No one is interested. Same thing, go to your husband and tell to your husband, oh, you know, you shouldn't do this because when you do this and that, he's going to say, oh my goodness, like my goodness. It's like, he doesn't want to listen to you. Who wants to listen to someone who is actually giving you a parasha? No one is interested. People lose interest and they go right away in the defense. They don't want to listen to you. Now change, do different. Instead of telling them what's wrong, tell them what you want them to do. Go straight to the point. Say, Levi, I didn't like you screamed. From now on, I need you to speak quietly. You basically said, I don't know, like 8 words. I didn't count. But 8 words are all that you need, because the kid didn't listen to, oh, you speak too loud, you're loud. No, he heard, you need to speak quietly. That's what he heard. And that's going to stay. That was quick. Trust me, it's going to go somewhere. Same thing. You want to say something to your husband. Don't go on and on with the good ideas and let's talk about our relationship. Just tell him what you want nicely. I prefer when you come home and you speak. Oh, I want you to come home and eat with me, or whatever you want, but just go straight to what you want instead of wasting your time talking about these ideas. So that's what the Torah is telling us. We could go on and on. Hashem could have gone on after Yitro and tell us all about ideas, but Hashem said, no. I gave you enough right now. Now let's put it into practice. Now let's change. And what's in this parasha? A very interesting idea. In this parasha, we're talking about an ox. What is it? It's a very idea. It's an idea that discusses when you have an animal that goes and destroys everything. Okay? Some people, they have an animal, and this animal go and destroys everything. So there's a lot of discussion, who's responsible for the damages, who has to fix everything, what do we do with the ox, what do we do with the animal, and we discuss all of that. Sometimes if it's just the first time, they only pay half of the damages. Sometimes if actually the animal keeps doing it, if he keeps doing the same thing, keeps destroying, then we're saying the owner is completely responsible. He has to pay for everything. And it takes about 3 times to make sure that we call the animal muad. What does it mean, muad? It means we warn them. We warn the animal, we warn the owner. So the owner, and if the animal is still doing something bad, then you're 100% responsible for what he's doing. But what do we learn? We learned also that if the animal is considered a bad one, but you change owners, then the animal, it's like you basically clean his slate and you're giving him a new chance. And now it's not an animal that we warned, it's an animal like that hasn't done anything. You can ask yourself, you say, whoa, what is that? What is that? This animal just destroyed everything. It was warned so many times. It should be a bad animal. Why suddenly it goes to a new owner and we give him more chances? So the Kabbalah explains something beautiful. The Kabbalah explains that it's the same within a person. Within a person, we have 2 souls, 2 neshamot. We have the neshama abamit, we have the animal soul, and we have the neshama elokit, the spiritual soul. The spiritual soul is really our essence. It's the soul that makes us want to be closer to Hashem. It's the soul that's going to want to make me be kind to people, do tzedakah, learn Torah, do good deeds, good things, spiritual things. My neshama be'amit, my animal soul, is the soul that wants me to be like an animal, meaning I eat, I drink, I do things that even animals do, right? And I could destroy also. I could destroy. I could also be selfish. Animals are not generous. They only think about themselves. And I could be the same. Sometimes our behavior is like an animal. Our behavior is that we destroy things. We can destroy 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. We can be muad. We can be warned also. And we still do things. We still destroy things and we can't hold it. It's really hard for ourselves to change. It's really hard for ourselves to find the strength to do something new, something different. So the Kabbalah, the Chassidut comes and explains something very powerful. It says that the same as this animal, our essence is a good essence. Look at a baby when he's born. There's no one as pure as a baby. It's pure baby. There's nothing bad within a baby. Why? Because a baby is all about doing good. Look, a baby is born with a smile. With a smile. It's natural to smile. It's natural to be happy. That's what a baby is about. But when you grow up, suddenly you change. You develop certain behaviors. You have things that you want to do that are not the best, and you change completely. And you could think that it's over, that because you've acted so bad, there's no point of return. There's no point to return. You're bad. So the Chassidut comes and tells you, no, not at all. Once you just have to recognize what's happening, recognize this power that you have, that is the Nefesh HaBa'amid, recognize this struggle that you will have, but remember that the same way that we give a change to an ox that is going to do 3 times things and then we change owners and then suddenly is becoming an innocent animal, the same way with a person. Because once you change the ox, you change the animal, you gave him a new owner, you gave him a new chance to change things, to be in a different environment. Once you give a person a new environment, you give the person basically a new chance to change. You give the person, you're telling them you are not alone. We're here with you. We are surrounding you. We're here to help you. The same thing with the animal. You basically putting him with a family and it doesn't have the same triggers. Before that, he had triggers and the triggers were all about what is he going to do, right? He's looking around, he's used to do certain things. It's very interesting. At the beginning of the class, we were discussing that I have a child who has special needs. And my child, when child has autism, very often he has behaviors, and my child has behaviors. And there's a special therapy that's called ABA therapy that is specifically for children with special needs to help them with their behaviors, or children who are even difficult. And what it teaches you is that sometimes you have to realize that the children have triggers. So if you want the behavior to stop, you have to identify the trigger. And once you identify the trigger, you can tackle the behavior and the behavior disappears. The same way that the Chassidut is telling us, what happened with this animal? It's not that suddenly the animal became nice. It's that we realize that this animal with this family is a violent animal. So we take him away from this family. We're giving him a new environment. We're removing the triggers and the animal has a new chance to change. The same way, if I want to change, if I want to transform a behavior within me, we explained earlier, we have to put the action with the idea. That's number one. But number two, we have to surround ourselves with people who are positive and who are going to help us in my new direction. If I stay with the same triggers, most likely I won't be able to change my behaviors. I won't be able to change my actions because the trigger is too strong. The Ba'amid, the Nefesh Ba'amid is too strong. When I give more importance to the other side, to the Nefesh Elokit, at that moment, I change my behavior. And that requires a lot of will. It's not something that is that easy, but it's something that is possible. When I surround myself with good behavior, like positive examples, I automatically want to change. I remember to me for a while, the beginning of my marriage, my Shabbat was nice, but it felt like a day of the week where I can rest. It didn't feel any holy, any special, nothing like out of the ordinary. It wasn't there. I eat well, I sleep, amazing. Before I had all the kids, wow, Hashem, when we could sleep. And I realized at some point I wanted something loftier in my life. I wanted something higher. And then I realized that every Shabbat, my big pleasure was what? To read books. But my books were not Jewish books. It was books that were talking about secular things and just regular books. And I realized that basically it was keeping me in the weak mode. It was keeping me not in my Shabbat mode. So after that, I decided to change. I said, you know what? From now on, I decided to take upon myself. I paid and I started receiving all these Jewish magazines. I started receiving Bina, Mishpacha, Ami, whatever. And every Shabbat, instead of reading my books, I was reading these magazines. It changed my Shabbat. From that day on, my Shabbat, I was reading all about Torah. I was reading stories, but it was like positive stories, positive example. My whole environment changed at that moment, mamash. And that I realized that sometimes in life, we're thinking about big ideas. But what's really important is the nitty-gritty. What's really important is the small details. That's what counts. And that's what really the Rebbe is explaining, that Yitro was beautiful, was big ideas. You don't kill, you don't cheat, you believe only in one God. These are big ideas, right? And some of these ideas, they even seem so logical, like why does God need to tell me don't kill? Like, you don't need to be Jewish to know it's not good to kill, right? So why does Hashem need to tell me that? And the idea is what we were saying earlier, that to do something is one thing, but to do it out of love gives it a whole new perspective. So not to kill, if it was just a person who would tell you, you're like, okay, I know you shouldn't kill, but the day that it doesn't suit you anymore, the day someone really upsets you, you kill them. While when you remember that God gave you this, and God is infinite, God is above you, God is before, right now, after, God is everything, then you remember that the killing someone, it's not when it suits me, it's because God told me not to do it. So even if I'm upset at someone, I am not going to take a gun and kill them because God said not to do it. It's something that is bigger than you. So the big ideas are amazing, but you have to have always them with actions. So the same idea, when I transform my environment, when I change my environment, when I change who are my role models, I create the space to actually change my behaviors, then I can have the strength to follow it and do it. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, you can research it. I Googled it. It's the university, the Duke University. They did a very interesting, they had a very interesting subject. The Wendy Wood is the person who actually did this. She realized that when the students were inside their homes, they would watch a lot of television, a lot of TV. But then she realized that if you move the TV in a different place, then the habit of watching TV would change. So when it was always at the same place, they would watch always the same amount of time. Once you move the TV, even if they knew where the TV was, they would actually watch less TV. So very interesting. You want to change your behaviors. You want to change something within you. Change something about your environment. So when you do a small little change, automatically, just surround yourself with positive people, surround yourself with more spirituality, automatically you're not going to have to fight it. It's going to smoothly, it's going to come to you that you're going to change. And it's the same idea. When you're putting yourself in at the hands of a different owner, it's the same thing you're telling Akadosh Baruch Hu, I want you to help me. I want you to create a new environment around me. And my dad told me something that I thought was so powerful. My dad said, if someone is alive after making mistakes, it means that Hashem doesn't just want to give him, to change themselves. He wants to give them a chance to correct themselves. So if someone is alive after making a mistake, it's because he can actually do better. You have this opportunity to do better. That's it. If not, when people would do mistakes, Hashem would say, okay, bing, bye-bye. But no, we stay alive. We not only stay alive, we can become better. I was speaking to someone today, and I was telling her sometimes You have issues in your life or in your marriage or whatever it is. And sometimes you can say, oh, why me? Why so much? Or sometimes you can be smart and say, okay, thanks to this challenge, thanks to this issue, my marriage is going to be better. I'm going to have to work harder, true. But thanks to that work, I'm going to change. I'm going to transform my spouse. I'm going to transform my children. And all of us are going to be better people. So making mistakes is actually good if you learn from them. The whole idea is to ask yourself, why? Why did Hashem put me in that situation? And that's why Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us Torah Mishpatim. He gave us the big ideas, but he gave us also the details, the laws, how to apply, what to do, and the responsibility towards others. Because Hashem put the other people in the world. So if you love Hashem, show your love by respecting others, by having more kindness. And David HaMelech, he already got that idea. In the Tehillim Kuf Gimel, the Tehillim Kuf Gimel 103, for those of you who want to go and look, David HaMelech says something very powerful. He says, Hamazbiya batov ediecha titchadesh kanesher neuraichi. What does that mean? It means that the one who says your mouth with goodness, your youth is going to renew itself like the wings of an eagle. What's so special about the wings of an eagle? An eagle changes wings about 7 times in their lives. It means that an eagle has this power to renew itself 7 times. And this is a very powerful symbol. It means that Hashem knows that we're going to have challenges, that we're going to have things that are so difficult for us. But we do have the power at any age, at any stage in our lives to change and to transform things. All we need to do is to remember the rules, to remember the people around us, to remember that we're responsible for one another, and also to remember never, ever to forget kindness. Kindness within the person in front of me, kindness within my people, kindness within my children. And do this exercise tomorrow. If there's one thing to remember in this class, because we said, remember that it's beautiful to have great ideas, but we have to actually apply them. The kindness would be to, for example, if you're used to do something and you're usually upset, so try to say the same thing in a nicer way. If you used to, for example, always fight, ask yourself, why do I always need to fight? Maybe I can get to the same result with my child, for example, without the fighting. Maybe I can just open my heart to the child. Everything that we do, we can change it, we can transform it. All we have to do is once we make the good decision, right away, change one thing, act upon it. Even if it's a tiny thing, change it. And you will see how your whole world is going to change. And you remember this rabbi who said, he went into this world and he said, I'm going to change the world. And he realized it, he started growing up and he says, okay, there's no way I'm changing the world. It's too hard. So then he said, I'm going to change my city. But he realized also he couldn't change his city. It was too difficult. So then he changed. He said, I'm going to change my family, right? It's way much smaller. But he couldn't change anyone in his family until the day he said, I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to change myself. That day, he changed himself. People around him started changing. And then he said, if I had started by changing myself, I would have already changed the world. Sometimes we're so focused on telling other people how to be, what to do, what to change. Let's just focus on ourselves. Let's just add an action coupled to the beautiful idea. We're love one class of Torah, we listen to one class of Torah. Let's think about, okay, what can I change? Doesn't have to be big, a little thing. Remember this animal, we change his owner, we change his anything that you will change, but you'll see any trigger that you have, it will immediately change the environment. Some people are going to tell me like, I want to diet, but it's so hard. Okay, you know what? Stop buying junk food. Stop buying junk food. So you have the idea of dieting, you have the will. Don't put yourself into a situation where you're going to eat junk food. Automatically, you had the idea, you have the action, you'll succeed. But if you just keep talking about ideas and discussing, you will go nowhere. It's like if we were stuck on Yitro without Mishpatim, Hashem wants to say, okay, it's beautiful ideas, but now it's time for the action. No, it's time to change. So that's really the message of this week. It's the importance of changing and realizing that you don't need to change the whole world. You start just by changing something within yourself. And the way you will feel, there will be so much more, like powerful, because you'll be happier. You'll be a happier person. And that will show you that you're doing the right thing. Just this feeling of feeling happier, you're doing the right thing. Sometimes what happens a lot is people, they're trying to change things, but they don't do the change, and they feel depressed because they have all these big ideas, but because they don't put them into actually actions, the ideas is depressing. Like it's something unattainable. I will never get to do it. I will never get to do this. Well, you say, okay, you know what? It's okay. I'll never maybe get to do this, but I'll get to do a little bit. You tweak a little bit, and slowly, you will see. You will, Be'ezrat Hashem, be able to change anything in your life that you want to change, and you'll be able to advance. And Be'ezrat Hashem, all these little changes will make more happier, more shalom bayit into your homes, better relationship with your children, and most importantly, I hope, change the world to bring Mashiach. Be'ezrat Hashem, bekarov mamash. So that was a little Dvar Torah for tonight to share with everyone.
Amen.
I just realized I put some makeup on my son.
Oh.
I was like, why is he all red? It was nice to see you. It was nice to see everyone.
Thank you, Sarah.
My pleasure. Oh,
Purim Sameach.
Sameach.
Ken.
I cannot believe it's already Purim in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Be'ezrat Hashem, wow.
Yeah.
Should we say that how many weeks before Pesach? It's going to stress you too much. I heard something beautiful from the Rabbanit Swerdlov. She said that her father would always say, a kasher Purim and a happy Pesach. And she explained, because people usually say happy Purim and a kosher Pesach. But he said people are so Purim, they're like so stressed, right? About being happy, that they're doing crazy things. So be kosher in Purim. And Pesach, they're so stressed about the cleaning. It would like, just be happy. And remember, it's a holiday. Remember that the most important is to do all the mitzvot with joy. So add more joy into your Pesach. And add more kosher into your Purim. But it was very interesting. It was so nice to see you.
Yeah, Gamotach. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. I had to step away for a few minutes, so I didn't really hear the end of it, but I just know what you said was so interesting, and it's really how one doing one thing a little different can change everything.
Exactly. You just have to start.
You just have to start and take action, right?
Exactly. It's exactly that. It's all about the action.
Can I ask you one question?
Of course.
You said you have a child with special needs. Does he speak?
Yes. Baruch Hashem, he speaks.
So he's very verbal?
But he speaks.
And he's very verbal?
Yes, he's very verbal. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He loves to talk. He talks too much, but he didn't speak for a long time. And I was always worried that he would never speak. I found an email I sent to my sisters, like when he was 3 years old, and I was like, he doesn't speak. What am I going to do? Is he going to ever speak? And today I'm like, can you please be quiet?
Well,
things worked out.
Things worked out well.
Baruch Hashem, yeah. And there's something he doesn't do. There's something he's not going to do. And you just learn to accept and live with it. And, just look at what he can do and be happy about every achievement, everything that is changing.
That's good philosophy. Anyway, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.